All right, Marianne, so you want to be an English teacher someday, and that probably means you're going to teach Shakespeare at some point. And this is just classic, Romeo and Juliet. Every 13-year-old girl has always, like, heard of that play. So you're probably going to teach this at some point in school. So this is another teaching tool called Shakespeare in Bits that we used in my class. And you're going to have to use it when you take Shakespeare with Blue, so you can learn about it now. It's the same text as the play, but it's like a cartoon, it's like a cartoon scene that goes with it. So we're going to watch a couple clips, and then I have some questions for you. So, I mean, you said you've read Romeo and Juliet before. So, what's happened up to this point? Juliet and Romeo are married. Romeo's been exiled, though, because he killed Tybalt, who's a member of Juliet's family. She's really distressed because she loved Tybalt and he's dead, but Romeo, her love, is dead and he's gone. So,
or exiled, yeah.
Yeah, exiled. Yeah, that's about it. And she is all set to marry this man named Paris, who her father's picked for her, because nobody except this friar knows that she's married to Romeo, or all heck would break loose. So, Paris has just left, and Juliet's going to talk to the friar about her situation. So, without further ado, here we go.
Oh, shut the door, and when thou hast done so, come weep with me. Past hope, past cure, past help.
Oh, Juliet, I already know thy grief. It strains me past the compass of my wits. I hear thou must, and nothing may prorogue it, on Thursday next, be married to this count.
Tell me not, friar, that thou hearest of this, unless thou tell me how I may prevent it. If in thy wisdom thou canst give no help, do thou but call my resolution wise, and with this knife I'll help it presently.
All right, we're going to stop for a second. Stop, Juliet. Okay. So can you kind of just sum up really quick, because sometimes Shakespearean English is confusing. So kind of sum up for me what you got so far from that.
Sure. So Juliet is extremely upset.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, going to him for condolences.
Mm-hmm.
And the friar Lawrence is like, oh, I feel your pain, like that you have to be married to Paris. And Juliet says, oh, I don't want to talk about it unless you can tell me how I can prevent it, unless you can tell me how to get rid of this problem, then I'm going to kill myself with this knife.
Right. Okay, so I have a really quick question about the knife. I'm going to scroll this back a little bit. Here she is. Okay, so we're going to watch this clip, and then I'm going to ask you a question about it. So, it's going to be quick.
With this knife I'll help it presently.
Okay, so Shakespeare obviously wrote the play, but plays can be taken all sorts of ways. Like, directors might have different ideas about the way things are supposed to be acted out. Maybe they think Shakespeare would want this, one person thinks this. Sometimes actors take it upon themselves to kind of act in a certain way. So, the creator of Shakespeare in Bits has Juliet pull out this knife. Can you kind of tell me the way in which she did it and, like, what that conveyed to you about what you think the director believes about Juliet?
Yeah, the way that she did it, I think the director probably thought that she was angry and more threatening the friar than she was, like, upset and wanting to kill herself.
Okay, so, like, how did you kind of get that idea?
Because she, like, her tone of voice was angry, and also, like, she kind of pulled it out really fast and pointed it at the friar instead of, like, holding it to her neck or something like that.
So at this point in I don't know if you remember this, but Juliet's only about 14. So, I mean, something that I've always considered, not always, but as we've been reading this in class, is just, like, teenage hormones are out of control. So, do you think that this was, like, like, she's genuinely upset, or do you just feel like this is kind of like a desperate, like, hormonal move on her part?
I think she's upset. I don't know if, like, it's rational. I think, like, maybe she is just, she's, like, I think that when we believe something so strongly and we just have such strong emotions about it, like, we let them get out of control. Like, obviously, when you're, like, I mean, she only has known the guy for a week, like, it's a little extreme.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so I think maybe it might be hormones are definitely in play there.
Okay, yeah. So, how do you think Shakespeare meant this to be read? Like, if you were a director of this play, clearly this is like the Shakespeare in Bits director's personal thoughts about how the scene was staged. But if you were a director, how do you think you would stage it? Like, how would Juliet be?
Maybe to, like, try and make her seem more like a upset, distraught teenager rather than like an angry, like, threatening person who's just trying to get what they want. Like maybe I would have her sound like maybe like a shaky voice, like maybe have her sound distressed.
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
Like she holds the knife to her throat instead of at him.
Okay, so instead of like anger just like flailing around, she'd be like really focused on herself. Okay, so for you, her suicide is like a real comment, and like for this, it kind of seems like she's just sort of spouting out words because she's upset. Yeah, those are really, really, really good observations. Okay, we are gonna keep watching, and then we're gonna talk about the friar after he gives this speech. So,
God join my heart and Romeo's, bow our hands. And ere this hand by thee to Romeo's seal shall be the label to another deed, or my true heart with treacherous revolt turn to another, this shall slay them both. Therefore, out of thy long experienced time, give me some present counsel. Or behold, twixt my extremes and me, this bloody knife shall play the umpire, arbitrating that which the commission of thy years and art could to no issue of true honour bring. Be not so long to speak, I long to die, if what thou speak not of remedy.
okay, just before we keep going, I just want to make sure you understand. I mean, you're smart. I'm sure you understand. But can you just kind of like, what's Juliet saying here? Because she says a lot. She's like upset and just spouting out stuff. So what does she say about the friar up here?
She says, again, like God joined her and Romeo, and like he was the one that married them. So she's basically saying like she's gonna use they're both gonna be in peril.
Okay.
And she wants the like she says the friar's really wise, and so she wants him to talk her out of this and like kind of show her what to do, because she's just, I mean, like, she's so young, like, she doesn't know what to do, and she wants his wise, like...
Right, so she says to the friar, where is the line? She says, give me some present counsel. So she clearly, from that line, really puts a lot of trust in the friar, right? Okay, we're just going to keep that in the back of our minds for the next part. So, alright, so she's saying, if you don't give me good counsel, twixt the extreme, this bloody knife shall play the umpire. So, like, I'm going to kill myself if you don't give me good counsel. So then this is what the friar says in response.
I do spy a kind of hope, which craves as desperate an execution as that is desperate, which we would prevent. If, rather than to marry County Paris, thou hast the strength of will to slay thyself, then is it likely thou wilt undertake a thing like death, to chide away the shame that copes with death himself to escape from it. And if thou darest, I'll give thee remedy.
Oh, okay, so what does the friar basically say there?
He says, oh wait, I think I have an idea.
Okay, yeah.
That's, you know, if you're willing to go as far as to kill yourself, like, I think I have some sort of, like, concoction that's gonna, like, make you seem like you're dead, and then, I can give you that if, like, you think you can handle it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, this is just a question that I have. The friar. So he's a man of God, right? He's like, basically, he's a monk. So, how do you feel, especially as a Christian, how do you feel about a monk encouraging these two to, like, be together, but also to kind of trick and lie to their parents? Like, he's encouraging a lie. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like it's not good. Like, I mean, maybe, like, back then it was different, like, love, like, could be more short term, but, like, I just feel like since he's so much older and wiser, he should know that, like, she's 14, she's only known him for a week. I'm surprised that he married them in the first place.
Okay, yeah, that's
like,
a really good point.
I feel like he should, you know, maybe, like, there's a better solution to this.
Okay.
Like, maybe talking her through it from a Christian perspective, like, maybe, like, talking to her about God, or, like, talking to her about another way she could work this out, like, other than something that extreme.
I think that's a really good point, because nowhere does the friar ever, I mean, he's interacted with Romeo and Juliet before this, obviously. He married them, and he talks to Romeo. Never once does he recommend anything like prayer or, like, checking out the scriptures. He doesn't say anything like that. So one thing that I learned is in comedies that Shakespeare would write, a lot of times friars are kind of like this dumb character, like they make a lot of impulsive decisions and do stupid things. But this isn't a comedy, this is a tragedy. So what do you think that has to say? Like, how is Shakespeare using the friar if it's not for comic relief? Then, like, what is he saying here, having the friar being so stupid? Do you think, anyways?
If it's not for comic relief, which doesn't seem like it is.
Okay, why do you think it doesn't seem like comic relief?
It doesn't seem like it is just because he's not, like, his language and what he's saying doesn't have any comical tone to it at all.
That's a really good point. Okay, so, like, if that's the case, then what is Shakespeare saying here, or what do you think Shakespeare's saying here?
Maybe it's some, like, comment on the corruption of the church.
Okay, I think that's a really good point. Also, one thing I'll point out, obviously you haven't seen this all the way, but you've read it before.
Rather than
Whoa, my fault. Juliet, hold on there. The friar counsels them before, but he doesn't sit down and talk to them about it. He just spouts an idea out, and they just go do it. So, do you think that the friar's actually giving sound counsel here?
No.
No, so, like, why? Why would you argue that?
Because he's just, I don't know, he just doesn't really seem to be, like, his role is, like, he's older and wiser, and he should say, okay, let's think this through.
Okay.
You know, instead of, like, you guys should get married, and they get married.
Okay, yeah. So, at the beginning, the friar claims that he's, like, doing all these things because he cares about the Capulets and the Montagues. You know, they're feuding. That's why, like, this love is forbidden. He says that he's doing this to kind of help to end the feud. Do you think that's the case anymore?
No.
Why not?
Because if Juliet's gonna, like, pretend like she's dead, then that's just going to get people even more angry. Like, they're going to be like, this is all, like, do they know that Romeo and Juliet love each other at this point?
No, they don't yet.
Know?
No, they don't know till the end of the play.
Okay. Well, yeah, I feel like that just wouldn't be helpful at all. Like, if they think she's dead, then, obviously they're never going to, like, it's never going to help anything.
Yeah, definitely. So, why don't you think the friar doesn't just come out and be like, all right, both of you, calm down, your kids are married, so you have to work this out? Why do you think the friar doesn't suggest that ever? Because he never does throughout the play. Why do you think he doesn't do that?
Maybe he knows that their reaction, like the Capulets and the Montagues, maybe he knows that, like they wouldn't, they would have Julia exiled or something, or maybe he's, I don't know, it doesn't seem very, like, I don't know, it's really strange that he never brought that up to them before.
Right, it hasn't been thought out. So you think he's just assuming their reaction to this is going to be better than, like, their reaction to your kids are married.
And he seems to be kind of like a romantic, like he wants Julia and Romeo to be together, you know?
Yeah, awesome. Well, Marianne, thank you. You're awesome. And I think one of the cool things that you're learning and I'm learning also is we see Romeo and Juliet as, like, this tragic love story on the front, but when you dig into it, you see that Shakespeare's commenting on a lot more. Like you said, he's commenting on, like, love. He's commenting on possibly age and, like, who's wise, because the friar's not being wise right now. So he's questioning wisdom, and I think, as you pointed out, he's definitely making a pretty hefty stab at the church through all of this. So hopefully we can learn, and I mean, you're going to be a teacher, so you're going to get to teach kids this, that there's so much more to Romeo and Juliet than just, like, this classic love story, that Shakespeare really makes a lot of different claims about a lot of different areas of life through his play. So thanks, you're so great. And maybe you'll use Shakespeare in bits someday. You never know. Juliet and her awesome eye makeup. So, thanks. You're really great, Marianne.
You're welcome.